Hello everybody and welcome back to another video back on the channel. We're back again with the tips this round for round 21. We're going into the final 4 rounds of the season. It's the final month of the home and away season. It feels like it's gone by really quickly. I probably say same thing every year. Without further ado, let's just look through my round 20 tips. I got 6 out of 9. That's been my score for the last few rounds. Didn't tip Port Adelaide, didn't tip Brisbane. I did originally tip Brisbane in that game. I just thought that with so many key defenders out that the Suns would continue their home game winning streak, but that wasn't the case, and the Suns are pretty much out of finals contention now. Did not tip St Kilda beating Essendon by 53 points. It is really bizarre what happens with Essendon at the end of every single season, it feels like. And then the final 5 games in a round I did tip correctly, because I do remember thinking that I was going pretty poorly to start off the round, but I got the last few games correct. I tipped against Sydney for the first time since I think round 1, and that was a tip worth making, because we got smashed, absolutely smashed. That 39-point margin is honestly a bit flattering for how we played. But without further ado, let's get into my round 21 tips. Western Bulldogs taking on Melbourne. The Bulldogs are in some absolutely ripping form. They finally seem to have broken the shackles in terms of their inconsistency. There was a while there where they were a wildly inconsistent team. I reckon last round was like the first time in about 5 rounds they actually correctly tipped the Dogs game. And they are looking in ripping form. Melbourne, on the other hand, they're still looking a bit shaky. Lost to GWS on the weekend. Got smashed by Freo the round before that. I think that the Dogs are in too good a form. I'll tip them by 7 goals. I think that this should be a comfortable victory for the Dogs with the way they're travelling at the moment. They're just about the most informed team in the competition, and I think that this match is going to signal the end of Melbourne's finals hopes, and the Dogs will continue marching on. West Coast versus Gold Coast. Now this is as good of an opportunity as any for Gold Coast to get an away win. I think that West Coast have a few outs for this game. Liam Duggan's been out for the last few games, I'm pretty sure, and I don't think he's going to be returning for this one. I have a few other outs as well. I remember seeing I've got one debutant in this game. So it was a much better effort last round against Fremantle, at least for a half. They were looking the goods at half time. In the end, Fremantle just outclassed them a bit in the second half. I think I'm gonna tip the Suns in this one, because I mean, if they can't beat the Eagles away from home, I'm not sure there's any team in the competition they can beat away from home. We saw them lose to North Melbourne away a few weeks ago. By the way, if they lose this game, this would be the outright longest losing streak for away games in the Gold Coast Suns history. They're currently they've equaled their longest streak, which they had back in like 2011, 2012, of 15 away losses in a row. If they lose this one, it'll go into outright first as their longest away game losing streak ever, which is pretty crazy, to be honest, considering that they're not that bad of a team anymore, even though they probably won't make finals again this year. But I think they just have to win this game, surely. And they'd probably need a miracle from here if they want to make finals, and that miracle would have to start with winning this game. Surely it happens. They have to. Spoon Bowl time 2024. North Melbourne taking on Richmond. Whoever loses this game, you'd think probably wins the wooden spoon, most likely. I think that despite the two teams being on in 17th and 18th, there's a bit of a difference in how the two teams are travelling at the moment. I think North Melbourne are playing a lot better than Richmond at the moment, and so I think I'm yeah, I'm going to have to tip North Melbourne in this one. Should be an entertaining game, though. I'll go by 8 points. They've won a couple games since their mid-season bye, and they've looked much more competitive. Apart from that one game against Sydney, they've pretty much been in the hunt to win every game they've played since the mid-season bye. Lost to Geelong by 40 points, but they were leading early in the first quarter and did look to potentially make a bit of a comeback that third quarter before Geelong just outclassed them in the end. But I think they should win this one. Richmond should put up a fight. I would imagine that they would be hungry to win this game, but I think North Melbourne are just travelling a little bit better at the moment, and their future is finally looking pretty bright. Geelong versus Adelaide. This one is in Geelong, and Adelaide, they were looking good for a little while there, but they were absolutely obliterated by Hawthorn, and all the Adelaide fans here in South Australia are not happy at all. I mean, even though they are like a bottom team this year, I think they were expecting a bit better, and yeah, I think they conceded like 13 or 14 goals in a row at one stage. It was, pretty bleak. I can't imagine them beating Geelong in this one. I think that Geelong should, do a number on them. I'll tip the Cats by 45. Geelong hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Adelaide. Can't remember the last time they won there. I think that Geelong are definitely the better team, and they should win this one pretty comfortably. Well, this may well just be the game of the season. Collingwood versus Carlton, blockbuster matchup. Scott Pendlebury's 400th game, and the ramifications of this game are huge. If Collingwood lose this, they are absolutely 100% out of the finals race. And Carlton, if they lose this, well, they are at quite a high risk of missing the top 4. So absolutely huge ramifications. Scott Pendlebury's 400th game. They should be over 90,000 at the G for this one. Last time these two teams have played, it's been like high 80s. I think this one should break the 90,000 mark. We saw Dusty get 92,000 for his 300th game early in the year, and considering the two teams that are playing here, I think that there should be an even bigger crowd for this one. Now, it's going to be a really tough one to tip. I think that neither of these teams are really in that good a form. Both teams have some injury issues at the moment. It's Scott Pendlebury's 400th. Collingwood should have a little bit of confidence after their win over Richmond, albeit it was against the 18th ranked team. I think for Scott Pendlebury's 400th, I'm going to tip Collingwood in an upset. I think it'll be a cracking game, a close game. But even though Carlton probably are the better team, I think that, for Scotty Pendlebury's 400th, arguably the greatest Magpie player ever, I think they're going to get the job done in a thriller, just like they did earlier in the season. But really, this game could go either way. I can't wait to watch this one. Port Adelaide versus Sydney. Sydney, they certainly have found themselves in a bit of a form slump. It's crazy that after losing 4 of their last 5 games, Sydney are still top of the ladder by 6 points, a game and a draw, and significant percentage as well. That is crazy. This season is just bizarre. But I want to tip the Swans. I'm going to be going to this game. But I just can't. We have not beaten Port Adelaide since 2016. For whatever reason, we just cannot beat them. I don't know why. Even when we've been clearly the better team, like back in 2022, I remember we finished 3rd, made the grand final. Port Adelaide missed finals altogether, and yet they smashed us in that game. It was like 23 points, but we kicked a few junk time goals late. The margin flattered us a bit. I don't know what it is about Port Adelaide. We cannot beat them. Not at the Adelaide Oval, not the SCG. I don't know what it is. I hope we win this game, but I'm not going to be tipping us. But hopefully we can break that drought against Port Adelaide, because surely it can't last too much longer. Now this is just, how do you tip this game? GWS taking on Hawthorn in Canberra, where GWS have played pretty well. This is a sold out crowd. All 3 games that have been played in Canberra this year have been sold out, so GWS obviously have a decent following there. There's been a lot of talk about Canberra being the 20th team, getting the 20th licence, and well, that's a bit relevant for this game. But yeah, as for this game, GWS taking on Hawthorn, I don't know who to tip. I mean, Hawthorn are arguably, along with the Bulldogs, the most informed team in the competition. So I'm going to tip the Hawks in this one. But this is another coin toss game. I really don't know who to tip in this one. I'm not really sure. I don't know what the 2 teams' head-to-head matchup record at this venue would be. Because Hawthorn beat GWS earlier in the year in Tasmania. I'd say that the two areas have pretty similar weather conditions. I think, yeah, I'm going to tip the Hawks in this one. They're on a roll. It's crazy that they still can't break into the top 8 despite winning is it 10 of their last 12 now? It's ridiculous. But yeah, I will be tipping the Hawks in this one by 2 points. Essendon versus Fremantle. The Essendon downward spiral in the second half of the season continues. Yeah, it's really, I don't know what's happened with the Bombers. Well, same thing that seems to happen to them every year. I don't really see them getting anywhere close in this one. I think that Freo should do a number on them. I'll tip Freo by 41, even though it is at the MCG, but they are playing absolutely rubbish right now, the Bombers. Final game of the round, St Kilda taking on Brisbane. Even though the Saints have been playing better lately, I think that, the Lions, well, I think I've said this twice now in the video about 2 different teams already, but Brisbane are arguably the most informed team in the competition. In fact, right now, I'd probably say, if I were to do a power rankings video like many people do, I'd probably have Brisbane in first, because they are playing magnificent at the moment. But I reckon the Saints will put up a fight. The Lions will win this one by 12 points, and that'll send them back up to second on the ladder. So, at the end of the round, Sydney's still on top somehow, although the gap between first and second is closing, with Brisbane, Fremantle both on 13 wins, 6 losses and the 1 draw. Geelong in the top 4, Port Adelaide up to 5th. The Bulldogs, Carlton dropped down all the way to 7th, and GWS round out the top 8. Hawthorn still can't find their way into that top 8. I've got them in 9th, Collingwood up to 10th, Essendon down all the way to 11th, Gold Coast 12th, and Melbourne down to 13th. Then this bottom five, pretty much the same as it's always been. So that'll bring us to the end of this video. If you did like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Would be much appreciated. Comment down your predictions in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.